Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. This is Kenya Revolutionary. Karibu sana for another session. Karibu, wherever you're watching it, whether you're watching it from Kenya, whether you're watching it in Europe, whether you're watching it in South Africa, the whole Africa in general, whether you're watching it from US, America, South America, North America, Australia, name it, Asia, Antarctica, whatever. Karibu sana. I have another session here. It might be brief or maybe it might be long, lengthy. You never know. I just want us to look at critical view, review the chances, the realistic chances that Raila Odinga has to actually get this position that he's vying for, or at least he has mentioned his intention to run for the position of African Union chairperson position. Okay, so we want to review and see if what are the chances, because yes, we had this talks about his academic papers and all that stuff, but it goes beyond that. We want to check out this interview that was conducted earlier today. It was in KTN, where these two folks who worked with the AU, they have expertise on that. And they spoke about how the process works, how the different voting blocks actually, prop up their candidate and vote, where you have to have like 2/3 of the votes to be considered to win. Okay. We'll see the voting blocks from the Francophone nations, Anglophone nations, all that stuff. We'll get to that. So I'll review that discussion and offer my opinion as it relates to what are the chances of Raila Odinga actually getting this position. And not only that, just news. I just seen news sasa hivi, okay, that the AU they want to change the rules. Some rules, a rule that can make Raila Odinga disqualify Raila Odinga from running. He might be locked out of the race. Okay, they are yet to vote on this rule, but it's out there. It's been introduced. So let's see what I'm talking about. I know you're looking at me like, what are you talking about? This is all, but again, before I go on, the first order of business, like this video, like, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, okay? Let's delve in. I want to start with the prophet, the political prophet. Again, I usually call this man a prophet, Miguna. There's something that he said that maybe he knew something. I'm telling you, this might be set up by Ruto. Maybe Ruto set up Raila Odinga. You never know. But I'm not saying that Miguna say this, but I want to quote something that he said and left it at that when his last tweet, when he said he'll stop talking about Raila's academic credentials. He'll just let Raila go fry himself when he goes to Addis Ababa. He'll fail he'll trip on himself when he goes to Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. So let's look at this tweet. Then I want you to think what Miguna was trying to communicate here. As we have now learned that every time Miguna speaks about something, it's as if he has the inside information. In my previous video live earlier today, for those of you who watched, I mentioned how Miguna talked about, how he spoke about the handshake that happened with Ruto last year in April. And hi, Brother Benso, I see you there. Thank you very much for watching. Karibu sana. And in the last hour, I will open up the phone. I'll drop the link. So if you will be in a position where you want to join me, you'll join me. So I'll just make my case. Then I'll open it for everyone who wants to join it. But nice seeing you, Brother Benson. It's been a while. We need to talk. I'll call you later today so we can discuss. Brother Benson, for those of you who don't know, he has a Brother Benson Media. Go to his channel. Very informative. He has very important people who usually as his guests, and they talk about matters, politics, and other things like youth leadership and our upcoming youth. Very nice brother. If I want to hear some interesting perspective on news or politics, Brother Benson is the person to go. I usually call him just to see where his head is at. I haven't talked to him for a while, so I'll probably make a call, probably today, this evening, or not. If not, I'll call him tomorrow. But thank you, Brother Benson. I see you in the comment section. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, the previous, I've numerous times I've mentioned here that every time you're going to write something, it's as if he has the inside information. I mentioned in my previous videos, there's one that I made last year when Miguna said, Raila Odinga, I dare you to come out and protest. And he said that Raila will not come out and protest. And indeed, the next day we had a press conference that Raila Odinga was sick or something else, and he didn't come out for the protest. Now, he just showed us when his tweet from last year in April, where he said he predicted that Raila Odinga has already entered into a handshake with William Ruto, and one of the compromise they agreed on, Raila being supported by Ruto for the AU chairperson position. And he highlighted that. I show you that in my previous live earlier today, and we saw that, and it happened. Okay, so I want to highlight, draw in this little tweet that Miguna also had regarding the AU. Remember, Miguna was one of those people who are very vocal, especially through Twitter, talking about Raila Odinga not having the qualification. Nice seeing you, Goodyear, my sister. Thank you very much for your support. Yes. So yes, like I said, Goodyear today utaingia kwa studio. I'll put the link in after my presentation. It's going to be quite a bit. I'll try to chop it up a little bit, but it will take some time. So, but anyway, so like I was saying, nice seeing you, Goodyear. Karibu sana. So like I was saying, I want to zero in on this tweet, and it seems like Miguna knew something that maybe we don't know. Again, we usually just not pay attention to his tweets. Then later on, when it comes to it, I know, Goodyear needs, yeah. What is he saying? Can I remember the best, Raila? The bet. Yes, the bet is on, Miss Goodyear. $20 tutaona, eh? I remember that to give. Yes, Goodyear, we need to give a prize. Always supporting the channel. Thank you very much. Like I say, so let me zero in on this tweet so we can get started without me waffling and talking too much. I want to show you guys this tweet by Miguna so you can understand what I'm actually trying to say. So yes, I watched the game. I watched the game, Goodyear. We won. It was not the best performance, but we won. But yeah, so here it is. Let me get started. Let's get started. Thank you very much. Like the video. Don't forget to like the video. Share, subscribe, all the good stuff. You know what to do. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Here we get started. Let's get started with this tweet that I want to read you. I want you to watch this tweet by Miguna. It was the last tweet that he made regarding Raila Odinga. Oh, even Miguna has posted what I'm about to play, but I won't play it for Miguna. I won't do that, Miguna. I will not do that. Okay, let's see. Let's go back. It's back here. Sorry. We're getting into it. Dang it. Sorry, guys. I should have pulled this up before we got here. But I'm about to get to it. Just let me. We're about to get there. Okay. So here, if you just give me a minute, it's about there. I'm about to get it. Okay. Here it is. Can you guys see it? All right. So let me read this tweet real quick before I go to the video. The tweet reads as follows. It says, Bas, I've now left the conman to go to Addis, which is Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, where the AU capital is, AU whatever. Bas, I've left the conman to go to Addis and fail on his own. Are his sycophantic cows happy now? Okay, there's a reason why he's doing that, right? So let me play this clip that just came up today. It's about what might lock out Raila Odinga. Here's the clip, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. Here is the clip. I want you to listen carefully about what they're talking about. So here.
Year one Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga must now wait to see if the African Union member states will adopt a proposed change to the election rules that may lock him out of the contest for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission. The changes are part of a draft aimed at reforming the election for senior leaders at the Continental Body Secretariat and make it more efficient. NTV's political affairs reporter Vincent Odor has more.
Former Premier Raila Odinga's bid for the African Union Commission's top seat is now facing the risk of being extinguished, with Odinga's fate now seemingly dependent on the decision of the 44 member states. The AU Permanent Representative Committee has proposed a raft of changes to the election rules that seeks to bar member states that have previously held the chairperson and deputy chairperson seats from 2002 from contesting in the upcoming election. If the heads of state and government adopt the proposal, it will be the end of the road for Odinga's bid because Kenya and Rwanda have previously held the deputy position. According to a 2018 decision, the position is rotational, and therefore the next commission chairperson should come from the Eastern African region. This now means that only Tanzania and the other countries in Eastern region will qualify to present a candidate for the AUC's top job, complicating matters for Raila Odinga, whom Kenya has endorsed. For the proposed changes to become law, it must be agreed on by the heads of state and government. Decisions at the African Union are made by consensus, which means a single rejection drags the decision from becoming formal law. The Central Region of Africa has dominated the chairperson seat, holding it for 3 terms, including 2 by the incumbent Moussa Faki of Chad. Jinping of Gabon had held it from 2007 to 2011. The changes, which also introduces a gender angle, are contained in the report on preparations for the election of senior leadership of the African Union Commission in February 2025, which, if adopted, could guide how the next AU chairperson is chosen. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Step into Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises.
So we see there's the little change that they want to change that, of course, this should be rotational, okay? Rwanda, Kenya, you see, yes, good year. So Rwanda and Kenya don't qualify. Other East African countries are up for the Exactly. So where does this leave Raila Odinga? Hey, it's about to get complicated. I'm not going to touch on what's the possibility. What if Raila misses this chance? He doesn't become the AU chairperson. What is he going to do with his time? Is he coming back to Kenyan politics? Are we going back to Mandamano? What will be the new? Let's break it down further. Now, the next one will be a little bit lengthier. So I don't blame you guys if you shut down and go home and say, okay, I've had enough. I'll watch the rest of it tomorrow. But it's 2 gentlemen that are actually talking about how the AU, the whole process is. I will play you so we can have a better understanding of how the process works of choosing an AU commissioner as and the functions of the AU commissioner, how the process of voting, the criteria, whether it's academic, experience, all that stuff will be addressed in the next clip. It's a lengthy clip. I'll try to forward it. Nitazungumza kidogo na nikiendeleza mbele so we can get the understanding. But as Goodyear has told us here, given that proposal that they want to change, it's a rotational one. Yes, it is the time for the Eastern Bloc of the Africa to choose their leader. But Kenya again and Rwanda have had it before. Nani Kagame had it and somebody else. I think Ruto is holding a position right now, which is not the same, but so it is time for Tanzania or Uganda, somebody else who will be getting it. That's the law that they want to pass right now. And if they pass it, that will kind of lock out Raila Odinga. But that's not the only thing that can lock him out. Let's look at the process in which they usually do pick the AU chairperson. Let's go to it. Let's hear it from somebody, people who actually have worked for the AU and know the ins and out. Yes. Goodyear is telling us Ruto has a place set up for him in case avoiding AU chair. You think, what is he going to make him? The official, the NADCO? Okay, maybe that might make sense. That might make sense. Maybe he might use the NADCO to put Raila Odinga. You know, he'll now shove that NADCO proposal through the Kenyan throat so they can have official opposition for the Raila Odinga and so forth. So yeah, or create a prime ministerial position for Raila. So yeah, maybe. But let's see. Let's go to the AU thing. We are getting started. Let's get to the AU thing and see what the AU process is like. What is needed. Your process kwangaje. Okay. Are you ready? Twende kazi basi. Aya, twende. Listen carefully. I know it's lengthy. I'll try to forward it because most of it is fluff.
And the polls open in exactly 7 hours and 53 minutes, 6 a.m.
Speaking of which, the LSK president will be chosen in 7 hours.
Fought in an election. That is behind. Now they have come together to talk about matters development. Your question is, how important is this seat? A person occupying the position of the African Union Commission, first of all, you have to understand that this is more or less the chief executive of the continent-wide body. Of course, the heads of state and government sitting as an assembly are really the big stakeholders to this. But this is the person that is really the spokesperson, is the CEO. And so occupying that position reflects on the person, but also on the country.
Okay.
So that's how important it is.
Okay.
The state, the position itself, and also the person that is occupying, and the country.
Okay.
Because whatever will be done would also reflect on
The country. I'll talk about the region, but your take, Ambassador, on how important this position is to Kenya first.
I think I begin from the time the AU itself was established. And the structure of the AU is totally different from the OAU, from an organization of cooperation to an organization of integration. Therefore, the agenda of the AU is much more meaningful to Africa than the Organization of African Unity was. That's the beginning point. The second point is, it is an honor for Kenya to have one of us to hold that position if he gets elected. Reason is, we become the center of focus, diplomatic focus, because we have produced the best person to run the organization. And I hope Honorable Raila Odinga will carry the burden of also improving the image of this country.
So here he's basically highlighting the responsibility of the AUC, African Union chairperson, if in case Raila Odinga gets it, and how it relates to the country. What does it mean to us as the people? You know, it's an image thing. Okay, he will get to the responsibilities and the requirements and how it can play out to whether Raila is qualified or not. He'll be vague about it because these guys are diplomats by profession, so they won't tell you black and white that Raila is qualified or he's not qualified. They'll make it sound good. But let's listen in, because I know it's kind of lengthy. Sorry, grab some popcorn. If you're eating dinner, if you're doing something, if you have nothing better to do with your life, turn into Kenya Rebel channel on YouTube. You will learn something about the AU process and how it's actually structured. And what are the chances of Raila Odinga getting this position? It's kind of a rigorous process that I really doubt Raila Odinga will get it. But you never know. Like I told you, he's chosen by the West. So wanaweza kufanya ukarabati na Raila can get it. But let's see. Let's get to it. Let's not stop there. Let's get to it. Wacha niendelee na ninio.
because we are able to produce the best. If we look at what Honorable Raila has done as a high representative on infrastructure, I think we probably look forward to a very good tenure should he get the seat. Finally, I think I want to look at him as a person who has tried everything possible to be something different. And this is an opportunity for him to probably card that day. And I hope it.
Now, let's put things in perspective here. He mentioned that Raila Odinga had worked for the AU when he was doing the infrastructural stuff. When he was, remember that position, he was appointed. It was an appointed position. He didn't qualify to qualify. He was appointed by the AUC, the AU chairman at the time, who I think is the current one. Is it? If I'm not wrong, what's his name? Faki or something? Aki, whatever his name is. It was an appointed position. And remember, he was the head of, making sure the infrastructure within the AU members was up to date. Let me just say that, okay? But there was a special assignment that he was given. And this gentleman will touch on it, okay? Where he went and tried to negotiate the situation with Bagbo, okay? And the reason why I bring this, if you remember, for those who don't know who Bagbo is, Bagbo was the former president of Ivory Coast, democratically elected. And it was removed by the AU and other forces, okay? They removed him after Raila Odinga went there to try to get him out. Raila Odinga flew there in his private jet that was paid for by the AU and tried to negotiate a deal and told him, hey, listen, these guys are coming to take you out, whatever the case is. Bagbo told them, I'm democratically elected president, I'm not leaving, okay? Raila wakamwambia, hard luck, akaishia. A few days later, Bagbo was removed. So this might taint the vote for Raila Odinga in the Francophone nations in the West. Okay, because they'll remember that. They'll remember that this is Raila guy. He came to talk to Bagbo, to kick out Bagbo. So, yes, Obasanjo will try to talk, but Obasanjo is not a Francophone, is not part of Nigeria is not part of the Francophone nations, okay? So Raila will have a hard time to convince the French-speaking colonized nations, African nations, because he will need that block too. Remember, you need 2/3 of the vote to be considered the AU chairperson. But this gentleman will explain all this. So let's continue. Sorry, I'm interrupting because I want to put things into context as you watch these guys are talking about. Ruto is young and is going nowhere. What's good? Ruto not going anywhere. Ask Ubu. Guria is being cheeky in the comment section there. Okay, let's go.
It is possible that he can carry the day.
Okay, just need to clarify that we had said earlier that Ambassador Elkanah Odembo was supposed to join us. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it, and even we are not able to connect with him online, but he's apologized, and he'll be doing a show with us very soon because he's at the top of this. Let me get back to Baya. So how easy is it to get to this? Because I know that all these presidents must endorse him, all of them, or it's a section of them. Or how many of them should endorse him in order for him to clinch that seat?
See, if it goes to a vote, then he'll have to be voted in by majority of member states.
Majority.
But
okay.
I think there is an understanding in Africa that the position rotates. Francophone, Anglophone, and even within Anglophone, you have SADC region, you have East African region. So I think this is the time for East Africa. And it is up to East African countries to agree to propose one person from the region to contest. If it is indeed Honorable Raila Odinga being supported by the East African community, for instance, then probably it's an easier way for him to clinch the seat.
Does that automatically mean that the Francophone countries will have no position?
No, they are free to bring up a candidate. But the point is, there is an understanding that the seat rotates.
Okay.
So if that understanding holds, then probably to be easier for Honorable Raila Odinga.
On text or a gentleman agreement?
Well, generally a gentleman agreement, but it is in the spirit of AU understanding and consensus.
You have been there. How easy is it in your reflection for Raila Odinga to make the cut?
Let me make one or two just minor kind of underlining of what Ambassador said.
Go ahead.
To be elected as the chairperson of the African Union Commission and the deputy chairperson of the commission, you must garner two-thirds of those present and voting. In other words, countries that are not under sanctions. And the way the election goes, if say you have 5 candidates, you have an election for all the 5 candidates. And the last, if no one has garnered the 2/3, the last candidate is dropped out until one is left. So even when you are a 1, you still got the ballot, and you must get 2/3. After you have elected, there are 8 members of the commission. When I was there, we were 10, but now there are 8. That's some of the reforms that have been made. And so it works this way, that the chairperson.
So you see how rigorous it is. It's not as simple as, the region, the East African region, Museveni. Okay, he went to, sweet talk Museveni, to persuade Museveni, to solicit for Museveni, Uganda's vote. Okay, we saw, he'll probably get Suluhu. I don't know if maybe, I don't know. So the gentleman just explained that it's not as easy as that, because even if they vote as a bloc to choose Raila Odinga, the Francophone nations, the West Africans, the Francophone nations, the French-speaking part of the African nations, and, South Africans on the south and other regions, the Arabs and so forth, they'll choose their candidate, okay? And Raila has to get 2/3 of the vote, okay? So if there's he gave the example, if there's 8 candidates, if there's no one who has garnered the 2/3 of the votes, the person who got the least votes shall be dropped off and will have another re-election up until we find somebody. Even that one person, the last person, has to have that 2/3 of the votes, okay? And in some cases, even the one person who is remaining, the last one standing, never garners the vote, okay? And so they have to have another re-election in, let's say, I think the rule is 6 months or something like that. So it's a rigorous process. It's a protracted, arduous process that it's not as easy as Raila, exchanging pleasantries with Museveni and going to a Namibian funeral and getting the position. No, so this will actually be a good test for those of you, Azimio brothers and sisters, who really adore this man, Raila Odinga. We're about to see how influential he really is in the African continent, okay? My suspicion is, I don't know, but let's see. Remember, I know you're arguing that Raila Odinga was already the AU infrastructure, head of infrastructure and all that stuff. Again, he was appointed. It was not a voted position. He was not voted to be that, to get that position. He was appointed. Remember, to be appointed, you don't need even have to have the requirements. The AU chairman can appoint me to be the head of the infrastructure, and I know nothing about infrastructure and all that stuff. I'll just walk around, enjoy whatever, because they don't look at it. There's no rigorous process. They don't dig deep into your resume and see if actually you have that history. Yes, you can go there with the resume and whatever and have that position. But this position for the AU chairperson position is one that they will look very diligently to your past, your academics, and you have to influence the other voting blocks by trying to solicit, the vote of the heads of state in the West, South, East, and Northern Africa. So let's see. Maybe he might make it. Personally, I don't know.
Represents a region, a whole region. When a chairperson has come from a region, say Southern Africa or Western Africa, that region will only have one member of the commission. And so is the case of also of the deputy. Then the remaining 3 regions produce 2 commissioners each, meaning 6 plus the 2, that is 8.
Also
so there are
that.
8
Okay.
members of the commission. Now,
Before you go there, what was the complication with 10? Were other regions getting more representation?
this is part of, I'm sure you followed the news the other day that His Excellency, the President, has been asked to carry on the work that was being done by President Kagame of reforming
Yes.
the AU. And even reformation has also touched on the structure of the commission. And in changing the structure of the commission, it was felt that for better coordination, some functions were better handled by 1 commissioner. And so instead of 10, so the commissions were reduced to.
Just added more responsibilities to the other commissioners.
Correct.
Okay.
So what was your question?
You took me back, you're correct. But my question was, having the front row seat, how easy would you think it will be for Raila Odinga to ascend?
You know, if you have to get 2/3, and even if you are 1, you have to be voted, it's not easy.
Let me stop you. The 2/3 you said from participating members or the total membership. How do you calculate the 2/3? Because
the 2/3,
yes.
For instance, at the moment, there are 55 member countries of the African Union.
Yes.
So 2/3 would mean roughly 18 times 2, 36. You must have 36 heads of state and government voting for you. It's a sacred ballot.
Include the countries that are being sanctioned.
No. I said 55.
Okay.
Now,
so
if they are like now, there are I think 4 or 5
that are sanctioned. Yes.
They are say 51. That means you must
calculate
have
it from 51.
51.
Okay.
So that means that.
And by the way, I'm not sure if Uganda is sanctioned, because I know Museveni was not in good books with the US over that LGBT stuff. So I don't know, because US say they will, impose some sanctions on them. I don't know. I have to check on that. I'm not sure. So if they have under sanctions, and US usually makes the call. They're basically, AU is US and EU's little BI. So I don't know. That might complicate things, but let's just move on, because there's a lot that he was actually mentioning. By the way, if you're wondering what's where you can get this information, it's on KTN. You can type in Raila's journey on to AU News Hour with Ken, somebody, I forgot his last name. But yeah, it's a really deep, nice discussion where it gives you an understanding of how the process in which they choose the AU chairperson. It's not as easy as much of you think. It's like I said, it's not as easy as having dinner with Museveni and attending the Namibian president funeral. It takes a lot. And I think, honestly, it's, in my opinion, and you can be like James Wood, who thinks that I hate Raila. But in my opinion, I think Raila is not qualified for this job, to be honest with you. You can ask me why. Why? I'll explain. Let's go.
That's 4.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
51. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that clarifies it.
Yes.
So all of them must vote for you. So let me say the first round, there are 3 candidates.
Yes.
None gets the 2/3.
Yes.
Second round, 1 drops out. There are only 2. Still none gets the 2/3.
Yes.
Third round, still none gets the 2/3. What happens?
You go back to another election. You call another election. The presiding officer for the election is the chairman of the assembly, who is a head of state. So you declare another election.
Within the same period?
It has got to be
taken to probably 2, 3, 4 months?
Within 6 months.
Within 6 months. So
Yes.
my question is,
Yes.
if the participating membership finds no reason to vote for any of the candidates fronted at that time, how is it possible?
That's an abstention. So too bad. So that's not a vote.
So it's really difficult to get someone to be the commission chairperson.
We have had the situations where you have one candidate, the
And
election
it's-
is done, that candidate doesn't get 2/3, you call another election. In fact, it happened when we were finishing our first term.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, very, very interesting. So this is not just let's lobby, let's run around and get all these presidents to support us.
No.
But lobbying is
critical.
important.
It is very critical.
Yes.
Lobbying enables the candidate to market himself
Yeah.
as the best person to do the job. And those countries are going to take a vote on him based on their national interests. They look at, is he able to carry out the mandate of the AU,
Correct.
and therefore carry our interests along. If they think the person is not capable, it becomes difficult.
Okay.
That's where the truth comes in. But it is important that you market yourself as the best candidate, and therefore you are able to be understood by member states that you can carry the mandate of the organization.
The nerve center of the African Union is the Commission.
Yeah.
So distinguish for us between the African Union chairperson and the Commission's chairperson and the importance that they carry within AU.
Let me show you how we do stuff.
Sorry, guys, this is a commercial.
Actually, my department uses Monday.com, so I'm good. Work management.
The commission chairperson is the CEO, as Ambassador Mencha said. The commission of the AU is a head of state who chairs the assembly. So that's more or less, how do I put it, a symbolic seat in a way, but the executive authority lies with the commission itself.
A headmaster with a board of governors and a chair to the board of governors.
Yes.
That's exactly what
Yes,
it is.
that's
what
it.
it- Okay, okay. So we go into the elections, and before I talk about the elections, there's this notion in Kenya right now that when you are the CEO of the Africa Union Commission, you are the president of the presidents. Talk to me about that.
No, as CEO, I happen to be a chairman of a number of boards, and a CEO is never above the chairperson. The chairperson is always sits. The board is the supreme organ of any entity, and so the CEO is subject to the board. So the chairperson of the commission is subject to the assembly of the union.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not a president or president.
No,
It
he's
is not, but you know,
works
this
for
is
the
another thing that I thought I would talk about.
Go ahead.
If you look at, as Boaz said at the beginning, the OAU was a secretariat, and much of the work that was done during that period was really to support liberation and also to continue to support the African continent to prepare itself towards integration. And so they ceded that work to be done by regional economic communities.
Okay.
The AU is now more executive and is going the direction that Ambassador Boaz has just mentioned. Now, if you look at the commission, it has its own mandate spelled out in the Constitutive Act that establishes the African Union. And the union has a number of organs. The top organ being the Assembly of Heads of State and Government. Then you have the Council of Ministers. Then before that, you have a Court of Justice. Then below that, you have the Commission.
I'll move it ahead a little bit so you can have the relevant places that I'd like to highlight on.
Usually the court would have quite a number of...
Okay. Okay. So below them, you get the...
Like
And
matters
Kagame
of
was there for
conflict.
7 years, if I'm not wrong.
No, he served for only 4 years.
Or 4 years, it was. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
A
4
term
years.
is only 4 years.
4 years. And it's a single term.
Yes. Now, talking about Honorable Raila Moro, in addition to having served as a high-level representative of the chairperson of the commission, is the one who appointed him to be the high-level representative on matters of infrastructure.
So Raila Odinga was an appointee of Musa Faki.
Exactly.
Yes. Now here he addresses Raila was an appointee. He wasn't voted in, okay, when he was the head of infrastructure, okay, of AU. So here it is where he actually discusses that. He highlights what was responsibility.
Okay.
Exactly. But he has also served before. When there was a crisis in Cote d'Ivoire, he served as a high-level representative to solve that crisis that occurred there during that election. So he knows the continent, he knows the leaders, and he knows the terrain of the African Union.
How has Raila's previous roles in the regional politics and the, let me say, continent politics prepared him, in your view, for this position? I was with Otiende Amolo, senior counsel, last week, and there was a lot of saying of the qualifications book qualification.
Just disclaimer: Otiende Amolo is not a reliable source for matters Raila Odinga. No, he's a sycophant, so I will take anything that he says with a grain of salt. But let's continue.
That a person must possess. But he had the view that sometimes the experience, based on what you've done before, can at least be thrust up there as more important than even the educational requirement. So how has his previous roles prepared him for this?
Let's begin from what Ambassador Munchi said on Alpha Conare. He's a former head of state and he became chairperson of the commission. It was easier for presidents to relate to him, consult him, or he consults them. But either way, Raila comes in with experience, has been prime minister of this country, and prime minister of a coalition government where he was a co-equal in a way. So in terms of perception, the heads of state will be very happy to deal with Raila because I think they can consult him. They have dealt with him previously in his national.
The point this gentleman is making is that Raila is might be comfortable experience in that position because historically that position is usually occupied by former heads of states, people who are presidents. So when they relate, because remember the AU assembly, their version of National Assembly is basically heads of states. So Raila being former prime minister, it won't be something that's out of his comfort zone because he has an experience of being prime minister. So he will relate to other heads of states with ease. That's his argument, and also his experience as being a politician in Kenya. That's basically what this gentleman is trying to say. But I do have a different view on that because let's let him finish first. Then I'll mention what I'm about to mention.
Roles. But above that, I think we also need to take into account to know that he's having been high representative on infrastructure has also put him in a good state because he's consulted these governments, he has met these presidents, and they understand his thinking, they understand probably the manner in which he's likely to conduct the affairs of the commission, and therefore they be at home with him in terms of liaising with the national governments on any issue. So it gives him, I think, a lot of credibility.
Okay.
If I could chip in on this one,
Go ahead.
I've seen.
Hold on, before I get to that, gentleman. Credibility, he has, okay? But here's where it gets complicated, okay? Yes, Raila was a prime minister at some point in this Kenya, the second one in our history. And he did mingle with heads of states on different occasions when we had all these international meetings and all that good stuff, okay? But here's the problem. Raila was never voted, okay? When he runs for this AUC position, number one, he'll need to be voted in. These presidents, these regions will have to vote him in. Remember, he has not been voted in yet. We all know that. Number two, when we get to qualifications, see, what this gentleman is trying to say is that, yes, Raila Odinga he has credibility because of his history being a prime minister. So communicating with other heads of state is not something that's going to be foreign to him. And what he fails to mention is this: the process of him becoming that AUC is where it becomes problematic, okay? Because number one, the position demands that you have to have a master's degree, okay? Which Raila does not have. Raila Odinga, when he became the Prime Minister of Kenya, remember, he went through the system, our corrupt system, where you can have a degree from Uganda or Jogoo Road. And I'm not saying Raila Odinga has a degree in Jogoo Road. I honestly don't know whether he has it or not. By all indications, I have not seen it. Nobody has seen it. Nobody knows any one person that he went to school with in any university. Okay? So let's get to that. What I'm trying to say is this: the process in which Raila will go through in order to be considered qualified for this AUC will not be the same as the process of him running for president in Kenya or him becoming the prime minister. Remember, he only became prime minister after the international community intervened when we were having that conflict within the nation. Okay? And a position of prime minister was created in this arrangement of government of national unity. Okay? And he only became that because he had the majority of member of parliament in the legislative body. So that's how he became the prime minister. The process of which he became the prime minister in Kenya is not the same process in which he will go through to become the AUC. They are more rigorous. They'll check his NEO, they'll check his academic credentials and his experience. Now, this gentleman here, he argues that Raila has the experience because he was the head AU infrastructural position that he held, which was an appointed position by the AUC, the then AUC person. It was an appointed position. Okay? You are at the mercy of the AUC guy. We were not going to look at your credentials then. Okay? If I'm the head of the AUC, I can appoint somebody who might not have the same credentials as I do. But the AU, trust me, I have the authority to do that. Trust me, they trust my judgment to pick up that person to do A, B, C, D, and D, because you have to delegate duties. Of course, as a leader of something, you have to delegate duties. You won't be doing everything else. So my argument is, whilst this guy is telling us, and again, that's why I mentioned this guy is a diplomat. Okay, he doesn't want to make Raila look bad, but the truth is, number one, the process which Raila will go through when they are examining his candidature, academic will be looked at, na hii si itakuwa ile ya Jogoo wanapita ati IBC nani wanakuacha because you are in the political class of Kenya. That's number one. Number two, they'll go beyond their just experience. Kikwete has been doing diplomatic shuffles for years, okay? Just as Nini as Raila Odinga, okay? So Raila will have to provide more than just his experience as a prime minister, okay? He can argue, yes, I was an appointee of the infrastructural stuff of AU, but what's more than that? Kikwete can argue the same. I've been a diplomat for a while, okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that it will be more rigorous than that. You have to offer more than just that, okay? And remember, the people who are going to vote you in are people who actually don't know you, don't care about Azimio. They're not your sycophants. This is not Kenya where tutakuwa tukiimba baba 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 every day. You have to prove that you actually have the experience to be the African Union chairman, okay? So this is not as easy as, oh, mimi the baba nimekuwa kwa siasa for a long. No. It's one thing to be in the siasa for a long time, but what did you actually do? What did you achieve when you are the MP, when you're the MP, while you're in the you are prime minister? What did you achieve? Okay? These are the things that we look at. And if you look at it critically, I must say Raila did not do much. Okay? But let's go on. This is the other guy is about to speak.
A lot of social media talking about these degrees and the rest. I can say, for instance, when I was serving at the commission, my chairperson was a doctor, medical doctor. Not any of those things that I talked about in those things. Because, so when you look at, but this person had.
Oh, very good point. He said his chairperson when he was there was a medical doctor. Remember, the basic requirement is master's degree. a medical doctor is by all means, technically is a master's degree. Because remember, most doctor, if you want to be a doctor, you start with your basic bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree. Then you go to a school of medicine, okay, for another 3 or 4 years, okay? And what is master's degree? You get your bachelor's, which is 4-year college, okay, 4 years in college, where you get your bachelor's. Then you go an extra 3 years of master's, depending on how fast you want to do it. There's accelerated programs and stuff and that, okay? So when he mentioned that his former whatever boss was a medical doctor, you had Otindemolo telling us this is a natural science. And technically, a medical doctor has a master's degree because it is 4 years of college, okay, where you get your first degree in maybe chemistry or biology. Then you go to medical school for another 3 or 4 years. Okay, so, now if you talk about it, if you look at Raila as a person, we are told he's an engineer. Whether he's a legit engineer as, a real engineer, because engineering also, you have to go to engineering school. You just don't go 4 years and, okay? Or maybe he has that engineering, Yile Oscar Sudi. Nobody has seen his certificates, his papers. Nobody can see one, not even one of his classmates. That's the difference. But again, I told you, these people are diplomats, so they don't want to paint a picture or make Raila, because Raila is a big name in Kenya, let's face it. So you don't expect them to say, oh, I don't know if Raila will qualify. They can't say that. They're diplomats. They have to be diplomatic in how they respond to the questions. So that's what this gentleman is doing.
I'd served as Foreign Affairs Minister for quite some time. I'd also served as a Minister of Home Affairs and all that. So at that role, it is not a technical job as such. This is a leadership role. So what you are looking for is a leader that can be able to help the continent implement this integration agenda, help the continent to address the issues of challenges that come with this conflict, but also represent the continent on behalf of the countries of Africa in external issues. For instance, when we have dialogue with the United States, we have dialogue with China, we have dialogue under G20, is the chairperson who's the representative of the union.
Okay, and on the whole region, because then you don't have a specific interest of a country if you
correct,
sort of
correct, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so in my view, or perhaps not my view, let me not bring my view in it. So how then is it easy for someone who has served in those positions, right, to undertake this role? And when I mean this role is the budget that this commission runs. Are they the ones who run this budget, or it's the 3 tiers above them that run the budget? Because again, they've said, oh, he'll be in charge of this level of a budget, which is huge in every way.
The budget of the unit,
in terms of proper utilization of those funds, good governance. Therefore, where you have problems with some countries who are sanctioned is because they have violate those particular provisions in terms of constitutional change of government. So they are sanctioned. You have to be held accountable for what you have signed for. And you may have seen 4 or 5 countries are threatening to quit. It is because they don't want to comply with those particular provisions. So in order to achieve a common objective, how do we get to that objective?
Because my thinking is, even if you leave, for example, if there is an issue within that block, regional block, for example, it's a block that has left, it still affects.
And that
how many years out? That
could be out for
almost 20-something years.
On matters of infrastructure, on matters of food security, on matters of education, on matters of health and the rest. And a number.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll try to forward it to a part where he was actually addressing the issue of whether Raila Odinga, in case he gets this AUC position, will he be able to be involved in the local politics? I think I've answered it as a layman on my other video, but I will let this guy actually answer the question because he's a guy who's worked in the AUC organization, so he knows how to do. So you can get a clear view of the responsibility that comes with that position, and if Raila will be able to still be the ODM chairman or Azimio head, he'll answer that in a few. Let me just forward it to that place.
Now, take the model of European Union. European Union.
Third party. It is only the Commission of the European Union that does that.
Yeah.
That has been reserved for the Commission. And as he says, on other aspects, for instance, on foreign affairs, and he's been permanent secretary, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he knows much better than I do. For instance, dialogue with China and US. Obama, I was
2014.
I was there.
In Washington, yes.
Yes. And of course, I said dialogue with the US and China becomes very complicated. One of them with a motorcade. How long does it take you to leave a venue? So instead, dialogue with the US and China becomes very complicated. Each country wants to come before.
Because they're looking for different things.
Exactly.
They're looking for different
things. In that case, if United States gives you an invitation, you jump up. And so is China.
If the UK says,
the president was also complaining about being bundled.
Like they did in a bus.
Exactly.
It happened once during the Queen's funeral, if I'm not wrong.
Exactly.
When they were put in a bus.
But you know why? You know why that happens? Because if you go to such a function, you have, and I've been in many of those, you have, say, 60, 70, like when Africa and Europe meet. You have how many heads of state and government? Africa 55.
Yes.
Europe come 28, that's 70. If you have to have each one of them with a motorcade, how long does it take you to leave a venue? So instead.
That is a very ridiculous reasoning by this gentleman. I don't know what his name is, but he should be ashamed of himself. You cannot excuse what happened at the Queen's funeral. Here, if you've been listening, they're referring to when Ruto was complaining about how the African leaders were bundled up in one bus, okay? Waliwekwa kwa Matongo, whatever the case is, Benways, Eldoret Express, while other heads of states, the president of the US, I don't know if Putin went there, but other heads of states outside of Africa, they came with their motorcades and their security, but all the African presidents were put in a bus and shuffled around, okay? Then this gentleman is arguing that Africa, we have a lot of heads of states. So if each one of them comes with their security and their own motorcade, it will be a headache for the security personnel in the UK. That is absolutely nonsense. Okay, these people, whenever there is a function such as like a Queen's funeral or a big, huge World Cup, whatever the case is, whatever the event where heads of states come into a country, there's more than enough money allocated, security forces, security protocol that is observed. Whether it's 100 million or 10 million VIPs, okay, they make accommodations for them, okay? They make sure that they'll probably call a country. This is what usually happens. They call a country and they ask him, hey, listen, I know President so-and-so will be attending here in the Queen's funeral here in London, whatever the case is. How many people will be coming and how many vehicles are you going to come, so they can see how they can, take the security measures that needs to be done. All right. And it happens that way. And they make accommodations. So when you get there with your 100 security forces, you will be told how to move, where to stay, and all that stuff, where your car will be parked and all that. They take those steps months before or weeks before the actual visit. So whether we have 55 African heads of state who want to attend the funeral of that witch, Queen Elizabeth, it will be easy. It's something that can be done. It doesn't matter how many heads of state we knew. It's just, it was pure disrespect, a show of I don't know how do you what to use it, but it was as if Africans heads of state didn't matter. They were just bundled up. Why didn't they bundle up? Why didn't they argue? Europe has how many countries there? Is it 40 something, 50 something, whatever the case is? Okay. Why did they not have all the European heads of states in a bus shuffled around like special ed kids in a school bus? Okay. That was utter disrespect. And Ruto was right too. Yeah, Putin was not there. Yes. Putin did not show up because Putin has pride. Okay. There was no need of Putin to thank you, Godia, for that statement. Putin didn't have to attend that the funeral of that witch. Okay, so kudos to Putin. But yeah, Ruto was right in this instance. That was purely utter disrespect. So I disagree with this gentleman. But let's move on. They're about to wrap up. I just want to hear about when they're talking about Raila's functions, and if you will be able to balance that to be part of the local politics and the other stuff. Let's
you make it easier to bring minibuses with adequate security that you put 4 or 5 heads
and they're not the before what we see on the Jogo Road. I mean, to be fair to them.
Of course, that's
I think what President Ruto is trying to do is to challenge Africa to develop those structures,
correct,
which will enable the African Union represent the continent with a smaller delegation.
Yes, exactly.
To me, that's what it means.
Will it be a good thing if it happens?
The environment summit he hosted here in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Because it is also a matter of time. Where is he going to get the time to do local politics?
All right, here's what
time. Did he run for president after his term, or he ran for president and came back to you?
If I remember well, Champagne.
Yes.
He went to run for presidency in Gabon after he left the commission.
Or after the commission.
In fact, even when we were in the commission and the senior Bongo died, there was quite some jostling. There was pressure from there that he should go and run for president, but he chose to finish his term before he went back. And so is Madam Suma. After she finished, she ran for presidency in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can it happen the other way, Ambassador Mbai?
In what way?
You play local politics, you go to the commission, right? And then during your time in the commission, you still play local politics. That's one of the concerns here.
I don't know whether it is possible because it is also a matter of time. Where is he going to get the time to do local politics?
How busy was that job?
It is an extremely busy job. Busy. I mean, I can...
So 2 hours cannot apply that, I'm waking up, let me land.
No. But to answer that question specifically.
Can we finish with him, then we come back?
Okay. So I don't know in what way he can...
Yes. Goodyear is right here, and I have to highlight that what does he say? Security alone caused 850 million of taxpayers' money, 28 Euro countries. Okay, so it's a monetary issues. Now, I'll ask this question: when the G7 or G8 leaders meet, or G20, G50, whatever G something, when the BRICS met in South Africa, were they bundled in one bus and chauffeured around the country? Yes. It's expensive, but it's doable. It's something that and you didn't have to go. You can send Rambe Rambe. Be like Uhuru Kenyatta, Tuma Rambe Rambe. But anyway, the point I was trying to get in this point of the video, they actually address whether if Raila gets to this position, if he wins the AUC chairperson position, whatever the case is he going to be able to maintain or is he going to be able to be involved in the local politics? Him being the head of ODM, Azimio, coordinator, all that stuff. Is he going to be able to do that? The answer is a resounding no, as we've had this person. And one of these gentlemen who actually worked in the AU, worked under the leadership of the AUC at the time. So he explains how busy that position is and how impossible for Raila Odinga to actually be involved in Nino. Yes, Joe Biden did not attend, but sent his daughter. And exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. You know, if there's 55 members of heads of states of Africa, they didn't have to go to England to attend the Queen Elizabeth's burial. Okay, send somebody, send someone. You don't have to go there. You know, and I don't think they will care. But anyways, so here's the part that I wanted you to for you guys to listen as we come to a conclusion here, so we can get a better understanding of whether Raila Odinga will his
actually
there you go.
money to his time for the AU as well as for local politics. And for the AU, remember, he's dealing with 55 years of state. So they're also looking at him. Is he delivering or is he focusing on local politics? And it's a very difficult balancing act. So some things are easier said than done. And I'm not discounting what Honorable Raila wants to do, but I think it will be very difficult for him.
There's nothing wrong with discounting. I mean, you're an authority in this.
Yeah, but it will be very difficult for him to manage that office as well as run local politics.
Do you live permanently in Ethiopia?
Yeah.
You go to Addis?
Yes.
I know they have a very fine building there. Do they have a house next to them?
You've never been to the?
I have been to the.
They have a beautiful.
So why are you asking?
Residential.
Why are you asking?
So right there, you know, when I go there, there's a hotel.
In short, what I was trying to say, and he says, the gentleman just mentioned that, he says that it will be nearly impossible for Raila Odinga to still run local politics and be the AUC. Remember, AUC, you're representing the whole of Africa, these heads of states, this AU organization. So there's no way you can be the chairman of the AU and you're still fighting Ruto in the local politics. And in fact, Ruto is the person who actually forwarded your name, recommended you to be voted for. So, Goodyear is now is like they were uncomfortable, horrible, hired local buses with the. Yes, I once took a bus from what's the other? There's a small airport somewhere in London. Actually, yeah, it was from Heathrow to the other airport in London. I forgot what's the name of that. Is it Gatwick? I think it was Gatwick. I think so. Yeah, that bus. I mean, it was a bus, but it was nice for a president to sit on that bus. No, but yeah. So basically, that gentleman is saying that there's no way Raila Odinga can maintain his position as the AUC chairman, AU chairman, and still be involved in local politics. That's just an impossible. It's just you cannot do it. It's insane. You cannot do it. It's impossible. That is the reality. Okay. So, in summation, thank you, Goodyear, thank you. So what I'm trying to say is this: Raila is facing a lot of challenges, lots of challenges. And the last video, sorry guys, and the last video that I want to play before I depart for the day is the video that I showed you that this AU might pass a bill, some rules that may lock out Raila Odinga. This is something that can leave out Raila Odinga. So let's listen in for the last time, the last video of the day. That I don't want to bore you with a bunch of videos, but this is the last one I'm going to play for the day as we wrap up, so you can get a fair understanding of how the AU chairperson.
Coalition leader Raila Odinga must now wait to see if the African Union member states will adopt a proposed change to the election rules that may lock him out of the contest for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission. The changes are part of a draft aimed at reforming the election for senior leaders at the Continental Body Secretariat and make it more efficient. NTV's political affairs reporter Vincent Odor has more.
Former Premier Raila Odinga's bid for the African Union Commission's top seat is now facing the risk of being extinguished, with Odinga's fate now seemingly dependent on the decision of the 44 member states. The AU Permanent Representative Committee has proposed a raft of changes to the election rules that seeks to bar member states that have previously held the chairperson and deputy chairperson seats from 2002 from contesting in the upcoming election. If the heads of state and government adopt the proposal, it will be the end of the road for Odinga's bid because Kenya and Rwanda have previously held the deputy position. According to a 2018 decision, the position is rotational, and therefore the next commission chairperson should come from the Eastern African region. This now means that only Tanzania and the other countries in Eastern region will qualify to present a candidate for the AUC's top job, complicating matters for Raila Odinga, whom Kenya has endorsed. For the proposed changes to become law, it must be agreed on by the heads of state and government. Decisions at the African Union are made by consensus, which means a single rejection drags the decision from becoming formal law. The Central Region of Africa has dominated the chairperson seat, holding it for 3 terms, including 2 by the incumbent Moussa Faki of Chad. Jinping of Gabon had held it from 2007 to 2011. The changes, which also introduces a gender angle, are contained in the report on preparations for the election of senior leadership of the African Union Commission in February 2025, which, if adopted, could guide how the next AU chairperson is chosen. Vincent Oduor, NTV.
Okay, Vincent Odwell.
Recordings just got better.
NTV. Thank you very much. All right, in summation, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and men, 2 things we've learned, or 3. It's going to be a hard uphill battle for Raila Odinga to get the position. As those 2 gentlemen explained to us the process in which you have to get that position. It's not as simple, as I've said, it's not as simple as charming the pants of Museveni and attending Namibia's president's funeral, okay? You have to convince everyone from every voting bloc, whether it's the Francophone nations, Anglophone nations, South Africa, all that stuff, and the Arabs in the north, okay? You have to do that. And I mentioned this. For those of that's number 1. It's going to be hard for him to get all the presidents, because you remember, you have to get 2/3 of the votes, 2/3 of the votes of the head of states, their regions, 2/3 of the votes, which is extremely hard. Raila is a huge name in Kenya, but I don't know if it's that big African-wide. Yes, you can argue that he had experience, you know. What do you say? Goody is telling us Raila supporters should get ready for eventually, because Ruto has already brewed something ready for him. Okay. According to Goody, Raila is not going to get this chair. It looks bleak. We'll see. So, as I was saying, he has to garner votes from every part of Africa, because this is not, at least 2/3. And not only that, he has other people who will be running against him. And then, and now if you consider these new rules that they want to implement, even though that rule, I don't know if they want to implement it in in February when the voting will take place. I don't know, but still, it might lock out Raila Odinga. And number 3, in case Raila gets that position, AUC, position, all right, it's clear as day he will not be involved in local politics, because it's extremely busy. He'll be extremely busy. He won't have time for ODM and Azimio, which will basically take him out of Kenyan politics, okay? Which means Ruto will have, 2027 near Ruto. Let's just face it, okay? If Raila Odinga goes there. Now, all in all, my opinion, I'm in the opinion of, I don't think Raila Odinga is going to succeed in this position. I don't think he's going to. That's why I was very deliberate. I started by mentioning Miguna's Miguna's tweet, which I'm paraphrasing. He's basically saying, let Raila go fry himself at Addis Ababa because he's going nowhere, whether it's his credentials or just his experience. I know for you, Arizmio, Raila diehards, you might be like, no, Raila is qualified. He was the head of the AU infrastructural stuff. And I told you that position was unappointed. He was an appointee. He was appointed by the AU chairperson. He was not voted. There's a huge difference. If you are appointed, it's not the same as being voted. You can be unpopular. And you can use the example in ODM. You know, how many appointed MPs do you have that are usually very unpopular in their neighborhood or in their constituency, but they get appointed and wanaenda, okay? So the same thing, Raila was not voted when he was the head of the infrastructure of AU, but he was appointed. But this time, he's going to seek for votes. And like I said, Raila might be famous within the Kenyan borders, but when it comes to the Africa as a whole, I don't think his name ring bells as we might think it does here in Kenya. So, in my conclusion, I don't think Raila. Again, I will still maintain my position because I have a bet with Goodyear, but deep in my heart and my mind is telling me Raila is not going to get this position. Which begs the question, where will Raila go if he doesn't get this position? This is something that we'll explore tomorrow, not today, because I have to keep this to within an hour. I don't want to bore you with a lot of stuff. So tomorrow we shall talk about what happens. What happens? Yes, tough competition he has to shake off Morocco and Algeria. Exactly. So tomorrow we shall explore what will happen if Raila doesn't get that position of AU. He'll be stuck here with us in Kenya. Atarudi maandamano. My suspicion is that that's Ninio. That NADCO report will be plan B for Raila Odinga. He has to force Ruto to implement it in order for him to get some kind of mkate, nusu mkate. That's what it's heading. And maybe Raila will start working on that pretty soon if he hasn't realized he's not going to get it. Unless his friends in the West, Chris Coons, might put in a word and help him get the AU position. I doubt it, but it might happen. From the looks of things, I don't think Raila is going anywhere. Like my friend Goodyear here is telling me, he's probably going to, his best bet is to implement the NADCO so he can have a position of the official opposition or prime minister or some other stuff that, you know, comes with that NADCO nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, please like this video, share it, comment. Even if you're going to watch it later, you didn't get the chance to watch it live, like the video, nevertheless. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Kenya Revolutionary. You can subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and most importantly, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much, Goodyear. Thank you very much, Brother Benson, and Mr. James Wood, who thinks I'm a Raila hater. I don't hate Raila Odinga. I don't know him from a can of paint. I don't know him. Never knew him. Never dealt with him. Never met him. Okay, so I can care less whether he likes me or not, or I don't think he even knows me. So we don't know each other. So there's no need to hate each other if you don't know each other. Maybe if I met him and I knew him, maybe we like each other or hate each other. But I don't know him from nowhere. So I don't have the reason to hate him. I just call him out when he pulls out the bullshit that he pulled when he left his supporters stranded. I haven't forgotten your bet. We have still a year till February, unless Raila announces that he's not interested in the position. Then I'll have to make the payment. So immediately, Goodyear. But until then, the bet is still on. I am not reneging on the bet. We're still on. Thank you, Goodyear, for turning up and commenting and being part of this. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies of comrades, I have to end it here. For the last time, for the umpteenth time, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, comment, even if you're watching it repeat. Comment, tell me what you think, like it, and if you have subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Peace and blessing.